Welcome to One Take Wine. In my last video, we did a little bit of a holiday wrap-up of some more entry-level type wines, I think. But I enjoyed the format. I very much enjoyed the format, especially the Fanny Sabre. Trying something new and kind of sharing my in-the-moment impression of that. At the same time, I've got some other wines that are they fit within that formula, and I'm back in Sweden now, and I've been meaning to try these for a little while, so I thought we'd do a little bit of a twofer and then talk about a wine I opened last night. I want to talk about these guys, this guy, Bastian Wolber. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. I'm sorry, Bastian. These are the Laisse wines. Apparently, he's sort of been traveling around with different pretty important producers, to be honest. Bizot and Geneva and Jura, Bizot in von Romani. So, yeah, interesting from that perspective. Everybody's been talking and writing about these wines, this producer. It's only been a couple of years or a year or something since he's even come on my radar, but hadn't prioritized them because they're hard to find. There's not that many of them, and then when they do come up, they get snapped up. And now they're just starting to enter this window where the prices are stupid for wines that have just become, they're just on the up. Without any kind of track record. Still at the same time, you want to get in there. You want to understand from the get-go. You want to try them. You want to see what the fuss is all about. You want to be part of that conversation. And it's always exciting to discover someone who could be very talented. I learned about this producer from reading a wine blog, La Passion du Vin, a French wine blog. And they talked about it a little bit, so then I was like, okay, maybe. There's a Swedish importer of it, and in the Swedish importer's website, they do a little description in Swedish, unfortunately, of the wines, the style, the history, short as it is. There's a website called Winehog, a Danish guy, I think, who lives in Burgundy, at least part-time, and he has a website, subscription website. I'm not a subscriber, but this article was free, and you can go there and you can read about Laisse tomber. Laisse tomber literally translates to let it fall or let it drop, but really what it means in French, as a French speaker, it means just like let it go. Let's move on, which I kind of like. But I mean, a name does not a wine make. Let's get into it. First one in the glass is the white. Okay, there's a range of whites, and I will say the problem with the white, first of all, is that I know when I ordered it, I ordered the Chardonnay, and what I got instead was I got this. The 2021 Blanc, and on the back it says sur schiste, just popping and pouring. I was like, okay, if it's Chardonnay, it's a weird Chardonnay. Kind of like a little flashbacks to my Fanny Sabre experience. But I really loved the nose. I did. I loved it. I didn't know it was Riesling. I wouldn't have said Riesling on first sniff. And I wouldn't have said it on first taste either. This has got a lemon tart type of feel to it. It's very desserty. It's very got this sweetness that rounds everything around. It rounds it up and gives it this depth that it probably wouldn't have otherwise. And at the same time, with that, there's a little bit of that sort of citrus bitterness in the back. Keeps things fresh, keeps it honest, cuts through a little bit, keeps it from being cloying or stopping. Not particularly mineral. I don't sense a huge mineral style to it. Maybe more so now that I know what the grape is, but I didn't really at the beginning. It's a richer style. I love it. It's kind of filling, you know, it has a nice push through the mid palate. It starts off very beautifully. It doesn't finish particularly long, but it's not super short either, I would say. It's very, I think it's honorable. Price-wise, I'm not too sure. Ambition-wise, I think it's super interesting. I also think that I would love to revisit this in a year or two, because I think it's 2021. I think there's an extra year now, and I think they probably need a year or two to sort of start developing and getting into gear. It's a thoroughly enjoyable wine. I don't think it's particularly price-worthy, just on its merits, but I think in terms of the availability and the potential, and just to taste some very, very good winemaking, it is very good winemaking. It's clean. It's a nice way to treat this grape, actually. Very enjoyable. It's too bad about the price, really. I'll bet you there's all kinds of producers out there that are kind of flying under the radar, that don't have the, you know, the machine behind them, that are making wines like this that I just never get a chance to try. All right, let's try the red. Okay, you probably can't see this color, but it's very, very bright purple. But a thin one. Lovely nose. Lovely nose. I mean, much more so than when it was open. I think it's managed to kind of, the air helped a lot of it. There's almost some tomato in it. But that it's got a very funky kind of fruit to it, like a sweaty nose. Sweaty socks. Kind of in a good way. If those of you who know what I mean, know what I mean. And then maybe a black cherry, sort of funky black cherry vibe to it. Very nice tannins, very drying tannins. Gives up a little early, it's a bit short, I would say. I think it falls off a cliff halfway through the palate. But there's tannin. There's a tannin at the bottom of that cliff, and you fall into a soft bed of loveliness. I think there's even some floral elements to this that are super interesting. 2022 Haute-Côtes de Nuits. So this will be a Pinot Noir, a Burgundy. 12.5%, very light. Nice bottle, looks good. Yeah, there is a very floral element to this, and there's some earthy notes to it as well. It's much more complex than it was even just half an hour ago. I have to say, if I'm honest, when I first opened it, I was much more disappointed, and I wish the fruit had more verve to it. I wish it had more oomph and impact, a bigger sort of roundness, because what is there is very, very fine. It's a really, really well-made wine, you know. I think somehow or other this wine has been allowed to do everything it can do. Do I wish it could be more? Yes. But I also think that's what an entry-level wine is about. Not that this is necessarily entry-level, but would it be interesting to see what he would do with an Chateau, for instance? I think there's lots of producers of Chateau that might as well just give up their holdings to him. Or let him try, why not? It's very good. I like it. I don't like the way that, like I say, tumbling off the cliff there in the second half. The sort of, it starts off as if it's going to be this big, massive sort of wine, and then but it's so gentle and so light and so Aryan. A weird style, I must say, because usually it's one or the other, right? Again, not particularly mineral. That's not what I'm pulling out of this. My better half had a pizza with it, and the pizza overwhelmed it. And I think that's got to do with the lightness. But it is 2022, and it would be interesting to see the white has the benefit of the year, extra year. And it'd be interesting to see what this will be like in a year. If I could ever find another bottle. Listen to the numbers of this. There's 842 bottles and 30 magnums of this were produced in this year. The white one, 401 bottles and 30 magnums. These are ridiculous numbers. But they probably won't make it overseas. Who knows who's going to get the chance to try it. And that's probably what's pushing the prices up, because they are good wines. There's lots of potential there. They're very much fun to try. They're miles ahead of the last duo that I tried. Last night I opened a 2016 Chateau, Léoville, Poyferré. I think I may have already done a note on this last year. And I wanted to check it out again. I wanted to see how it's doing, because I really like this wine. And lots of cassis, blackcurrant, is still there and still a bit furry. It's got that young furry Merlot-ishness to it with the Cabernet fruit punching through. Lovely. I think there's a bit of a hole coming in the middle right now, and I think that's probably going to fill back in. It wasn't so much there in the last bottle, but I also think it's starting to go to sleep a little bit. But it's one of those bottles, like all great bottles, it's going to be great throughout its life. I think so, personally. Some cigar box, definitely a sprinkle of cigar box. There's just this lusciousness to it that's so. It's not slutty at all. It's still very fine, very, very oriented, and very. It feels like it has something to say, and it's not. It wants to be flamboyant, but it doesn't want to curry favor. It has some class. I think it has a bit of earthy barnyard to it, just a touch. But that just gives it a little complexity, and the fruit is just so luscious and round and beautiful. Tannins, fabulous. If you see some, pick it up at a reasonable price. That's all I have for this time. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you'll join me next time. Stay thirsty.